Welcome to Final Third TV. In this week we'll discuss Brentford, who've decided to part company with their management team, brought in to implement an analytical approach, which was so successful at Midtjylland last season. I'm joined by Rob Palmer.
Hello.
Mr. Analytics.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well, not really.
Would you go by that? Do you like that moniker?
I'd like it, but I'm not clever enough to pull it off.
He wants it. So tell us about it. Yeah, they've decided to get rid of their ultra-modern, trendy,
Yeah, Brentford have decided, I'm not going to try and pronounce any of the names because I will absolutely wreck it, and I don't want to cause offence to any beautiful people who are involved in analytics or anything like that. But yeah, they've parted company with their management team. The manager and the assistant manager is gone, who were brought over from, I think, Heerenveen, you said?
Yeah, I think it's Heerenveen. Yeah, I'm almost sure.
But basically the whole reason why these two were brought over was because they bought into the analytical sort of game plan that Midtjylland had imposed.
Everything can be measured.
Exactly.
Everything can be checked.
Set pieces aren't per chance. They're deep analytical things that can be sorted out. And so is everything in football if they break it down. That's the way a Midtjylland thing worked. Everything could be broken down into maths. And it's just like, the thing that really annoys me about the Brentford situation is that it's purely a case of classic British Isles insularism. Like the Irish and everyone in Britain, Ireland, Britain included, doesn't matter, are all like terribly, oh, that's a new idea, that's not going to fucking work, get away from me.
Well, if it worked in 66.
No, it's gonna work. What, half a century down the line?
34 and 15, 49.
Yeah, my parents weren't even born then. Like that just says it all.
Crazy,
but
crazy.
Yeah, it was like basically right. They came over to try and impose an analytical thing, which I think will be the future of football. Personally, I think that's the way to go. It's going to turn into like baseball, hockey, all this track. That's what it's going to do. Like, I mean, if it works in other sports, surely it'll translate into football. It's the only way I can see it happening.
The brains in America seem to think so.
And like, to be fair, when it comes to sport, they tend to do it right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, it hasn't worked so far. Anyway, and a couple of reasons for it is, I think, that first of all, the fans turned on the analytical approach because they couldn't understand what they were talking about. Pretty much, like, so the common football fan that you'd speak to in the pub, obviously most of the time not the brightest cherry on the tree.
Yeah, it's still viewed as a game that doesn't need to be thought about. I think in Britain and Ireland in particular, in that it should just be the working man's game where it should be pure entertainment and there isn't really much else to do. Footballers play football, that's what they do. The John Giles School of Tactics, pretty much. Yeah,
the School of Tactics, which doesn't exist except for when he actually says a tactic.
Yeah.
And it's just like
I do remember when AVB came in at Spurs, Harry Redknapp was laughing because it came out that he handed dossiers to his players. I don't even think it was match related, it was just training related. And he said, oh, you put all that information in their heads, they get confused. So that's kind of, if you try then to include maths into that, those are just tactical dossiers.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to include maths into it. I cannot see it going down too well. When you do it with Nordic players, not to generalise too broadly, I imagine that they're hungry for information, that they think about it, that it's really cool. Not everyone's going to be on board, let's face it, but culturally that seems like the done thing with them. I can't imagine going into an Irish dressing room and trying to tell them, well, you're only intercepting 2.4 per 90.
That's not good enough.
We wouldn't really be expecting. As you can see, you're actually dropping after the 70th minute.
It's like we only won 1-0, we have an XPG of 1.7.
Do you want me to run around a bit more? Yes, that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
if you could do more of that, that'd be great.
Yeah, just all I want. I'll give you a pie afterwards if you run around a bit more. That's all I want.
But so it's been tried at the second tier of English football. This approach is, as we said, it's won Midtjylland, the team formed in 1999, the Danish Super League. So
knocked us out of the Europa League. Southampton, I should say.
Yeah, it was massive. Yeah. Well, if they don't know that by now.
Yeah. Just thought I'd clarify for any new viewers out there. I'm a bit biased, but anyway.
But we were excited about this. I thought Brentford were a forward-thinking club. So it's not that they've abandoned the totally. Rasmus Angelson's still there. He's moved from Midtjylland, director of football. Yeah. So there's still the kind of the hive mind behind it. Yeah. It just hasn't worked. And usually if things don't work and they're newish and faddy in England,
that's curtains.
That's kind of that. Yeah.
It's like I do still have faith in Brentford because instead of Rasmus Anken there, like, and the thing that worries me is just the stories that have been coming out about the players just not doing that. Like same with like you like to basically to dumb it down a bit. Like it's similar to the stories that were coming out when Moyes was in charge of United and he was showing them videos and telling them like putting out cones and string and everything on the training ground.
This is how Jagielka behaves. This is how I want you to behave. And obviously because Jagielka will be considered a lesser caliber player, they won't take it in.
And that seems to be what's happened. Like the manager at Brentford was sitting the players down and going, right, this is happening in this quarter of the pitch. There's 3.4 passes, let's say, going through this channel. I want you to cut them out by doing this, that, and the other. And the players were like, what? Basically. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's, I think, part of the problem. It's like they tried to implement this, obviously, because you can't go in and just buy a Premier League club. Huge money there, obviously. You can't just go in and buy a Premier League club. So it's more financially feasible to go and buy a Championship club.
Or a League One club, as they were at the time.
And try and implement that system there. But I think because the idea is so dramatic in terms of a change in English football, that it was never going to work at Championship level, because the players are of a lower calibre, and therefore they're not going to be as footballingly intelligent. They might be smarter generally, but I mean, if you're going to try and implement footballing ideas, you need clever footballers to implement that plan.
Or at least willing learners.
That's
the big part that you really need. It's probably a car crash in terms of culture shock.
Yeah.
To switch over from... Because Mark Warburton was great with Brentford last season. But that just... It just doesn't work the same way. He left because of these ideas.
Yeah.
You can imagine the players looking at it going, we need to get promotion with this guy.
Yeah.
And they're bringing in some guy from the Netherlands, like, you know...
Whose name we can't pronounce.
Whose name we can't pronounce. Never heard of him. I'd never heard of him before the summer. Yeah. I just can't imagine it went well in their minds anyway.
Yeah.
You know, because...
And the thing that's sort of telling now about, like, the group of players that Warburton had assembled, obviously, was there. Obviously suited him as a manager, and he turned down managerial positions because he was, what was it? He was offered the job as manager, and he wasn't offered the job as coach.
Yes, something he
like
wouldn't
that.
have any control
it was
over
either something the other way
players
around.
coming in. Yeah, and also that there would be people like a set piece specialist, so he would be part of a team rather than the boss of a team.
Yeah,
exactly. So rather than the gaffer and his assistant, David Weir actually is his assistant. It wouldn't be that anymore. There'd be a team and I'm sitting there going, well, we need to do more from set pieces, this type of thing. So it doesn't work with guys who want control.
Yeah, which clearly he wants, and he obviously got that. He obviously that fed into whatever group of players he had. Like,
do you know where it would work? Swansea.
It would work at Swansea. Yeah,
Swansea do that. They just bring in a coach, use his ability, he fits the system. They leave. They tend not to do as well as they did. That's pretty much the Swansea pattern.
Yeah,
because no other club will give you that. Setup, that access,
that control. It's just, it's sad because, as I said, I think that is the way football. That is the future of football. Analytics is the way it's going to go. And
Minnow doesn't cut it with Midtjylland in comparison to the in comparison to the budget that the likes of Copenhagen are working off, even in the Danish Super League, which is a low budget in itself league. There's just no comparison, and yet they won a league. That should excite small teams who want to. Brentford would be in the top flight for the first time in their history, let alone the Premier League. That should excite them, I think, but It's not a computer game. It is actually human. That's kind of the problem. You need everybody on board.
It's a good philosophy in terms of a theoretical philosophy, I should say, in terms of getting results.
Yeah.
But if the people behind that aren't going to buy into it, there's no point.
Yeah.
And like it's a tragedy that hasn't worked.
Yeah. Maybe over time it'll be more of a slow process than it was at Midtjylland or
bloody hope so.
There you go. So to summarise this video, British and Irish football just isn't ready for all this analytical jelly. Leave your comments below. What do you think of the Brentford situation? Beyonce had to come into it at some point. Subscribe to Final Third TV. Let us know what you think about the situation at Brentford. Follow us on Twitter at @the Final_third, and thank you for watching.